He killed his father. A curse on his people. Betraying his family in search of the truth. Awakening the evil behind the curse. Now they must race to save their people. Or die trying.
What's up, George? What's going on tonight on the House of Craze?
Tonight, we are live once again. And on the show, we're going to have Matt Sumo and his partner, Pete Collins. They are the creators of Bardic Verses, an 80-page graphic novella, a love letter to swords, sorcery, and comics.
Nice.
That's coming up next.
That's coming up next. Let's get it.
The only show for independents all around, giving you a platform to spread your word all over town. Catch the Craze is the place to promote to your fans with the Dreamer, Medina, and Sam the Crazy Man. Subscribe to our show and never miss an episode. It's time to get your mans, listen to us on the go. Updated every week, we've never missed a day. Join the squad, come on in. It's time to catch the Craze. If you are an independent, catch the Craze. Making moves on your own, catch the Craze. On your grind in the streets, catch the Craze. Join the movement, catch the Craze.
Yeah, George, we did it again. Come on now. You know you want to do it. Catch the Craze. Welcome to Catch the Craze Podcast. I am your host with the most, Sam the Crazy Man Vera, and I am with
George the Dreamer, Medina. What's happening, Sam?
What's up? We have another live special tonight.
Yes, sir. I is tired, but welcome everyone to another exciting episode live of Catch the Craze. We're doing another Indiegogo Kickstarter special. Indiegogo's taking over.
Yes.
Kickstarter special. We're going to have a couple of creators on the show talking about their graphic novella. I like the fact that they called it a graphic novella.
Yeah.
They're going to be on the show. Matt Sue Collins talking about Bardic Verses. Very interesting title. So we're going to have that. And but before we even get into that, let's just make sure we tell everybody to subscribe, to comment, to like. Make sure you hit that button. Make sure you hit that bell so that when we do have a show like this coming up, you guys can get updates that we are live at the moment, like I just did on my phone.
Yes.
Anyway, so good show coming up. We are glutton for punishment. So another Kickstarter, Forbidden #2.
Forbidden #2. We just launched. We just opened up with the new promo for #2. It launches in November 1st. Introducing Primi Santra is the artist on the interiors, and we're going to have just 2 covers. We just have 2 covers on this one. We're going to have one, cover A and cover B, and it's going to be fun. And it's the collected edition.
Nice. Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. So cool. So here we go. I mean,
Volume 1
starts all over again, November 1st. Let's do it.
Yes. Speaking of
30 days.
Yeah. Speaking of that. So everything landed on my doorstep except for the books. I'm still waiting for the books. They're supposed to be here the next couple days. And once the books are here, then they're off to you.
That's some exciting stuff, bro.
Yeah.
Things just land on your doorstep and getting ready to send them out.
Yeah.
Now, I wonder what it's going to cost to send all these things out. Now that you're in a different zip code, I wonder what that cost is going to be like, because that's the other thing. You know?
Yeah. It's going to be interesting fulfilling all of those campaigns. The good thing about it is that the 6 people that pledged on Indiegogo will get yours at the same time as the others that pledged on Kickstarter. So, because the Indiegogo campaign ended, and So everything will be shipped out together. So there's no waiting. So for the 6 people that did not want to go over to Kickstarter, and which is why I went and created Indiegogo, and they got it, you get it just in time too.
Yeah, man. That's it. It's like a well-oiled machine. This
Yeah.
one took a little longer, but it's still gonna make it to you in September.
In September, yeah. So whatever month I put it in is when you get it. Oh, what's up, Nita? We got Will and Nita into his house.
Hey, Nita, what's happening? Hey, big shout out to Nita, Lanning, and Meredith, who have a show called The Raging Cajun.
I love Cajun
I was on
food.
their show not too long ago, last week, I think. Time flies when you're having fun. And it was a great interview, man. They do an incredible job. If you guys don't already, make sure you subscribe to that channel, because it is a very, very, very good channel. They have a lot of really cool independents, and they ask some really good questions. So
Yeah.
you really get to know these independents.
Those 2 ladies are the modern day Laverne and Shirley. I'm telling you, they have the camaraderie, the chemistry. They just balance each other. Really good show.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. It's a good time. So if you guys don't already, make sure you subscribe. Hit that button for them too. Make sure you hit that button and stay in that channel.
Yes, that's
Don't
the
just
big
hit
thing.
the button and then a few months later hit the button again to unsubscribe.
Yeah, stop
Keep it
acting
there.
up. Stop
Keep it
acting
there.
up.
Keep it there. We're gonna go into that a little more. I know Sam did a little piece on the craze in 10 or less, speaking on the subject. So if you haven't checked that out, make sure you check that out. It's on the channel right now. And yeah, it's real. It's a real topic. We're going to be talking more about it in the next couple of weeks. We have a show coming up on the 24th where we're going to be diving into that subject further. So make sure you check that out. That's coming up. And yeah, man, it's a trending topic right now. It's a trending topic.
Yeah, it's one of
a
lot of views, a lot of comments on all social platforms, which is pretty cool. I think one person was like, "Oh, I support as many indies as possible. I supported it," and he was talking about Kickstarter campaigns. I backed 90 Kickstarter campaigns. It's like that's not what we're talking about, but we appreciate that too. Obviously, you didn't watch it; you just looked at the comment. So watch the video, you understand what we're talking about. And it's really about giving what you get. That was why I did it, because we had some guests that never even promoted on their social platforms that they were ever on the show or even subscribed to the show, but they're the ones who asked to be on the show. So that it was a little confusing, because if you're a podcaster out there and you had any of us on your show, everyone's going to know that we're on your show. Anywhere we post, we're going to make sure that we try to drive traffic to you, not just leave it up to you to do it. And so that's what we're talking about. It's about that two-way relationship. And we'll get into that in other episodes coming down the road. So it's going to be fun.
We're gonna have fun with that topic. It's gonna be done a little tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun, and I think it's a very good topic. It's a topic worth discussing. So definitely check it out. September 24th, we'll have that up for you guys. So look out for that. But yeah, today we're gonna have it's an interesting. I mean, the Kickstarter that we're gonna have on the show today already has 93 backers, 26 days to go. They're very, very close to their goal. Their goal is $5,000. They're at 3802, so they're doing well. It ends October 11th at 1:01 p.m.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna have them on. We're gonna talk about it. Happy for them though. They're doing great. They're doing great.
Yeah, and it's good. I think one of the things is the prep work, right? So like right now you're promoting Wonder Duck for next year, right? And I'm promoting Disneyland on my toilet for next year, and I'm promoting now Forbidden, which is launching in November. I think you have to have that leeway time to be able to get people to adjust and get familiar with what you're doing. And these guys looks like obviously they did the prep work, and they're out there now on the promotional circuit trying to hustle, and that's the key. It's hustling.
Yeah. We had when we did this, I think sometime last year, we had JD Calderon on the show, and we did like a little part series on Kickstarters and Indiegogos and crowdfunding campaigns. And one of the things we talked about was the work before the crowdfunding campaign goes live. And at the time, it sounded like a foreign language. Like, what do you mean exactly? Because we hadn't done any campaigns at the time. We really weren't into it. Now that we're like in the middle of it, now that we've had a few campaigns under our belt, that advice rings very, very true. You need to do the pregame stuff. You need to promote prior to it going live. You can't just go live tomorrow and expect, unless you're a big name and your fans are just waiting for whatever you put out for them to support. If you're a little guy like us, you have to make sure you do your homework and promote prior to the campaign.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
that's
it's
important.
like my father-in-law would say, prior proper planning prevents piss poor performance, right? So, it's, no pain, no gain. You have to put in the work in order for you to reap the benefits of that output, and it's the stuff that, it takes a lot of time. I mean, just if you have a campaign, you got to post every day. So you have to have a different graphic every day or whatever it is. You gotta try different angles to get people's attention. Try different images because one image just might not have worked and wasn't strong enough. So I think it's there's no perfect formula because every campaign is different. It's just a little harder when no one knows who you are. So that means you have to work that much harder, and that's where you need to leverage networking. You need a network. You need to build that email database. All those things that are going to help. You get closer to trying to make that goal for that campaign.
Yeah, no. It's crazy because sometimes, when it's your first campaign and you have a lot of friends or family members who want to support you, and you come out the gate, boom, the first day you make tons of, not that, I don't know if you'll make your goal, but you'll definitely have a lot of pledges and stuff like that because everybody's excited for you. Right. And then day 4 or 5 hits and nothing, crickets, because that initial hype has died down a little bit. And that's when you really have to go to work. And that's when you really have to have those plan Bs, plan Cs, and all of that stuff, because you have to have, and again, going back to that interview we did with JD, you have to have like shows like this lined up so that people hear, see, find out more about who you are, what you do, what this book is about, things like that. So that's part of it as well. So you have to have you definitely have to have a plan, man. Like you have to have a plan in place that as soon as you hit that button that you're going live, you have to start just implementing all of those things that you were going to do, and carry it out for 30 days. Like, some people may slack and say, you know what, I've done it for 20, I'm good. Some people need the full 30 to hustle.
Now you get in the ring, go, keep fighting until you get knocked out. It's interesting. We're gonna have a young man on the show that the video that I posted that sparked the conversation. What are the things that he was frustrated about was that he reached out to podcasters. They asked for him to send press kits and samples of his book. He did that, and then there was no communication, and they never invited him on. And I said, you know what? Don't feel bad because the same thing has happened to me. I reached out to a couple of cats, same thing. Send me your stuff. I sent it, dead, silent. And they knew, and they knew there was a timeline, there was a window that I wanted to hit. Oh, we got you. You sent it, and you went dead. So it's those guys out there, those podcasters that give a bad name to others. But what I say to all of you indie creators out there, treat each experience as an isolated experience. Don't generalize everybody else and put everybody in the same nutshell. But just remember that. Just remember it. Like, I have an elephant's memory. And I don't forget those things. So he's going to be on our show. It's like, yo, you got an open invite to our show. He has a campaign he's going to be launching. I said, if we tell you yes, it's guaranteed. That's it. That we don't play. And so it's interesting because even at what we do, we still get the cold shoulder sometimes. So it doesn't stop the hustle. We just got to keep moving forward. Remember those names. Remember the cats that gave you the cold shoulder, and just, all right, I got you. And keep it moving and keep pushing your stuff because there's, at the end of the day, it's not going to allow me to deviate from my mission, which is to build brand awareness and all that stuff. So you're going to have doors close on you, or doors don't even unlock, right? There's always another door. Just keep moving, keep pushing forward. Don't go get discouraged, and keep hustling.
Yeah, I think you also have to keep in mind that shows like, for example, ours, not that we're big time and everybody, but we do get a number of people who are constantly reaching out to us. Hey, can I be on your show? Can I be on your show? Can I be on your show? So there are a lot of people, because there are a lot of indie creators out there who are putting out their own stuff. So I say that because don't think that if your campaign is coming out in 2 weeks, you're going to be able to get on the show right away. Because just like us, we are booking, interviews now into October, and even into November. So we are probably not going to have the space to put you on. There are times where we will do special shows and stuff like that, but not everybody does that, and not everybody has the capabilities to do that. So you have to keep that in mind when you're, going out and reaching out to some of these shows, to reach out to them with plenty of time.
But yeah,
if your campaign's coming out in 2 weeks, you got to do that.
But his argument is, they said, "Yeah, we'll get you on the show," and they went dead solid.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm saying I'm not talking about that. That's a whole different ball game. That's bad on them. I'm just saying, what I'm saying is, if you're reaching out to us and we can't put you on, don't be upset about that. Don't be upset with those channels that can't put you on immediately, because they just have a backlog. Right. Yeah, they have a backlog of things. Yeah. Keep in mind that you have to stay ahead of the game. It's part of the planning. You have to do it with enough time for that to be able to get put on. I'm not this gentleman. That's messed up. I mean, come on, don't go silent. Like, reach out, tell them what's
just
going on.
Be honest. Be honest. I think that's the biggest thing. Be transparent. Don't dangle the carrot. Be transparent, because you know what, word gets out. And September, do you have anything going on November, October? And I was like, yeah. And it's like, all right, we'll get you on there. Boom, cool. That's that dialogue that needs to happen between creators. It's when you go silent, you go dark. That's the biggest form of disrespect. It's like, yo, I met you halfway. I gave you what you wanted. You didn't hook me up. What's up? You didn't even get back to me. Say, yo, I didn't realize we overbooked, or we double booked, or we did this, or we did that. Those kind of things.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Big time. But you know what? I mean, listen, we all have to support each other, help each other out.
That's it. Stop backing up.
We put the best product out there for everybody. And that's why these live shows happen. We decided, you know what? There's a need for these live shows, because we didn't do live shows. We pre-recorded everything. Yeah. But there was a need. There was a need. There was demand. They were like, there are a lot of indies that have Kickstarters or
there's a lot of campaigns that are launching this month.
All the time.
Yeah,
it's nonstop.
September.
Look at us, for example. Indiegogo just finished. Kickstarter's about to start in November. It happens like that because it's just so many things to put out, So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I mean, it's. I just think it's a growing process. It's going to be bumps in the road. Don't get discouraged. Keep focused. Keep your mission focused. Your mission is to get your brand out there, get your book out there, your story, whatever it is. If you're a writer, an artist, so don't get discouraged. We've had somebody tell us, who was just a mainstream independent, say we're not big enough for them to be on our show. They reached out first, inquiring about the show, and then when they looked, they were like, "Oh, you're not big enough for me." And I was like, "All right, we just keep it moving, keep it pushing." It's like, but I'll remember. I have an elephant's memory, and that's one of those things. It's like, I don't get it. So it's one of those things. I don't care if you just came out of the womb with a comic book in your hands. Like, look, I just created a comic book. You want to promote it? We got a spot for you. If I don't care if you came from Mars and nobody knows you on this planet, we'll get a spot for you. It's one of those things where you got to start somewhere. And if we know,
I said, I remember. I remember.
Oh, I remember. An elephant never forgets.
Dude, I'll forget tomorrow. I'll sleep tonight. I don't care enough to remember that bull crap.
Yeah, that's different.
Like, I'm like, whatever.
What it is? It comes back from my background. That's why. Yeah.
Hey, listen.
But But no, I said, you just don't hold grudges. Just don't forget. That's whatever I do it. It's like, I remember you. It's funny. Forgive me, Michael, I think his name is. He just passed away from The Wire. He played Omar.
Oh yeah. Michael K. Williams.
Michael K. Williams. Yeah. So he was talking about how he went to New Jersey to his boy's house because on Fridays they used to go to clubs, and so he was talking about the scar he got. He got slashed across the face, and so he went to his boy's house because they get to the house, they get their drink on, and then they do club hopping. So he's there, and the guy who cut him is there, and inside. He said, I distinctly heard a voice say, go to the kitchen, get a butcher knife, and cut him, and kill him. And he went up to the guy. He said, they introduced him. He said, you don't remember me? He said, no. He goes, my bad. I'm just mistaking faces. And he walked out the back door, went into his car, and drove home crying because he says he was this close to doing everything that goes against his beliefs, but he walked away. So he didn't give what he got, right? And he didn't have to go to that place. He just never forgot, but he removed himself. You know what I'm saying? And it's one of those. So that's why when we're talking about this, it's like, you don't have to do the same things that's happening to you. Just don't forget the experience because those experiences are going to make you stronger and better down the road. I thought it was a great story. I was watching his interviews, because Omar was The Wire. His character was just on a whole nother level.
I forget how long ago The Wire was. Like that show it's been a while since I started watching the first season of it. Not so long ago.
The Wire was on a whole nother level, bro.
When did it come out? Like
wow,
early 2000s.
Yeah.
Did it?
Because it was competing. It was competing with Sopranos.
Oh, was it?
That they never won anything because and again I don't understand it because it's such a powerful series. But I remember when he would walk into the neighborhoods, Omar's coming.
Two.
Yeah, they were like, Omar's coming. Everyone's dipping. Everyone's jumping over fences trying to get away from him.
I actually haven't. I mean, I started watching it, but Omar hasn't even shown up yet. So I'm like very early in seasons.
Oh, that? But, you haven't watched? Oh, yeah. No. It's Idris Elba. That's when I found out he was British, you wouldn't even tell from watching it.
No. Dominic West is British too. The Jimmy, the Officer James.
Yeah.
They call him Jimmy, or he becomes Detective James.
Mm-hmm.
He's also British. He was in a show called The Affair, and that's where I knew him from because I had never seen The Wire before that. And but yeah, it's slow. It starts off very slow. It was very slow for me at the beginning. Sure, it's gonna pick up, but all I hear is how great the show is. So
it's fantabulous.
Yeah,
it's fantastical.
But yeah, 02, bro. That goes back. 02, jeez. That's a long time ago. You got somebody in the waiting room?
No, I'm wondering because I sent the email. Still waiting.
It's Eastern Standard Time.
What's up, B? Barry Branscombe in the house.
7:30 New York time.
I did say Eastern Standard Time, so yeah, we'll see.
What's up, Barry? Yeah, nice to see some new faces in the chat.
Yeah,
nice to see Mr. Michael Sammartino. Big shout out to him. He'll be on the show later on this year.
Yeah, he usually joins around 8 o'clock.
His show.
Yeah, you'll see Michael. He's an 8 o'clock guy. Those streaming shows, he jumps on then.
He's the 8 o'clock guy.
Yeah. Him and Krista. B. Lincoln Branch here. Look at that. Look at that. B. Lincoln. I like the logo, the lion.
But yeah, Sammy. So what else we got going on? So we got that going on. Kickstarters launching November. If you guys haven't already, please subscribe to my Webtoons Russ5377 is on there right now. Go to webtoons.com and type in Russ5377. Subscribe to that. I will have a new episode up in November. So make sure you subscribe for that. And then, The Adventures of Wonder Duck is coming next year in the spring. But you can follow the page right now on Instagram, The Adventures of Wonder Duck on Instagram. So,
Yeah.
so we got that.
Yeah.
We got that. We got stuff going on. Also, I want to give a big shout out to Dustin Brunel, who has been a big supporter of the show. He was on the show not too long ago. You had an interview. Oh, he's going to be on the show. I don't even know.
He was on the show. We did a live show last Friday.
He was. We did a live one. Yeah. So I missed it that night, but yeah, it was a great show. You guys had a really good conversation. Big shout out to him because he's doing big things, bro. He's been in the game for about a year, and in a year, he's done a lot.
Yeah.
A lot in that 1 year. So check him out. He's got some more stuff coming out. What is it? Babes, Gore, and Dinosaurs. I hope I have the order correctly. Is coming
BGD.
out. Yes, it's coming out.
It's like something you get at a club.
That's right.
Yeah. And there's Nailing in My Toilet launches next year. The full graphic novel, full color graphic novel over 100 and I forgot 30 something pages. Comes out next year and on Kickstarter, and Cats the Crazies, the graphic novel, January on Kickstarter. Look for that. It's gonna be dope. Actually, Forbidden, the volume 1 graphic novel, which launches November 1st, will be launching simultaneously. I'm doing a science project simultaneously on Kickstarter and Indiegogo. And the reason for that is I have Indiegogo supporters who will not come over to Kickstarter and vice versa. So I'm just launching them both there. Modest goals. And this is for the first volume in the series. And
who knew, right? Who knew that there was such a line, right?
Yes.
Like, I will not go to Indiegogo. I've heard that too.
It's like the Hatfields and the McCoys.
Like on Facebook,
It's crazy.
I've heard, like, I will not support anything on Kickstarter. You know what I mean? Like, I will not. And no matter how much they like you, their morals just say, I will not go to Kickstarter.
I try to use the smile. It's like, it didn't work.
Yeah, no,
it's like, no.
Working, son.
It's not working.
And same thing with Indiegogo. People who, I will not go to Indiegogo. I will not support anything on Indiegogo. It's very interesting how that line has been drawn between the two. Very, very interesting. So
word.
Yeah. Word up. So at this point, I guess we're just filling.
We're just filling up the time. Hopefully our guests show up in 2 minutes. So we have our guest today. I sent the link, so we'll just waited.
Yeah. So just so you guys know, the guests we are talking about are two guests we should be talking to: Matt Sumo and Pete Collins. They have a book called The Bardic Verses, and it's an 80-page graphic novella. It's on Kickstarter right now. They have 26 days to go. So even if they don't show up, just go to their Kickstarter, check it out. It's an 80-page graphic novella. How big is speaking of sizes on page sizes, your Forbidden is what, how many when it's all said and done?
Hold on. The Forbidden, when it's all said and done, just the story is about 164 pages, I think it is. Just the story, and then but the graphic novel, all right, the soft cover will be about 170 pages, hardcover 200 pages, because the hardcover is going to have bios, maps, world maps, history, all that stuff, sketch art, character development, all that stuff. It's gonna, the development notes. So the collected hardcover, that's gonna be the big one next year on Kickstarter. That's the Montezuma's Revenge.
That's the one. That's the one, and that one's gonna be in full color. So that's gonna get the painted cover that you've been that's actually in behind your head. There's the front of the painted graphic novel for it. So it's funny, man, because I think that when you're putting stuff out on the campaigns and on the crowdfunding campaigns and everything like that, you actually have more of a I guess you get a little more creative with the covers you're putting out there and things like of the sort, versus when you're just publishing it. Say, for example, you're taking it to a convention and you want to sell it there, because you are doing it basically on demand on the crowdfunding campaigns, versus when you go to shows, you basically say, okay, I'm printing out this cover and this is the only cover you're getting at this particular show.
Yep.
On Kickstarter, you can have a couple of covers and have people choose whichever one they want, and print it out based on that demand for that cover.
Yeah.
Something that's completely different, because we never really had a bunch of covers.
Cool. We got our guys in the waiting room. Pretty cool.
Yeah, Sam didn't pay any attention to us. Let's just get the guests in here. I'm just filling time until the guest came, and Sam should be in like a control room by himself.
We're going live.
And then he'll just say,
cut to commercial.
Yeah, he'll just say things.
Camera B.
Oh God. It's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing.
It's a travesty.
So we're going to cut the commercial. When we come back, we're going to have our guest on the show. So here it is.
Are you sitting at home wondering how you're going to spread the word about that Comic-Con that you're about to appear at, and you want to get some press? How about your first book signing? How do you spread the word so you can get an audience there? Or that first panel at a Comic-Con? Who do you talk to? Or even your first crowdfunding on Kickstarter or Indiegogo? The world is turning to podcasting to get the word out. Why not you? Sponsor an episode of Catch the Craze and start promoting yourself today.
All right. We're bringing in our guests. All right. Waiting on, is that Pete?
Yeah. Hey, how you doing?
What's up, buddy?
What's up, Pete?
Another day dollar, man.
There you go.
You can hear us fine? You good?
Yeah, I can hear you. I got a fan going in the background. Is that cool?
Yeah,
you can. I don't even hear it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect.
Money. Yeah, you're good. You're good. Matt, I guess Matt's audio's coming in. But until Matt's audio comes in, thank you guys for joining us. Everybody, we are back here on Catch the Craze, and we're going to be talking to Matt Sumo and Pete Collins about their book called The Bardic Verses, an 80-page graphic novella. Essentially, it's a love letter to swords, sorcery, and comics. So that's going to be cool. We're going to be talking about that. But until Matt's sound comes in. So Pete, tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, how you got involved with this project, what brought you here, and all that fun stuff.
Sure. I'm 6'2", a Pisces. I love big. I've been an artist my entire life, but this is really my first entry into the world of comic books. It's been something I've wanted to do for a long time, but life takes precedence on your dreams. So it wasn't until I met Matt that it became possible.
Nice, man.
Nice.
That's how it happens, right? You just meet the right person, and
That's
all of a
it.
sudden you're in comics, right?
Right.
That's how it happens.
It's like a wild rom-com for nerds.
Matt, welcome to the show, man. How are you? Can you hear us good? Matt.
Hey, yeah, sorry about that. I had some weird audio problems.
There you go. Yeah, no, we were just talking to Pete. George, this is Sam, and welcome to the show. We were just, getting the brief history of Pete,
Thanks for
how you
having
got
us.
involved with the project. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved in the project. Uh-oh.
So, as I'm sure Pete mentioned, I mean, we met at work, and it was a whole thing. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. And then, so as far as how I got involved, I mean, I've been doing
Matt, we're having trouble with your connection.
on and off for about 12 years now. Creator-owned stuff. Can you hear me?
You're coming in and out. I think your service is just a little spotty.
Let me. Yeah, hold on one second. Let me see what I can do here.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. We'll go. It's a good thing we got Pete because we got two of you guys. So if one isn't going, then we can go to the next one over here. But yeah. So did you? So you were a writer. You liked writing. So tell us a little bit more about your venture or your journey into this field.
Sure, man. So, Matt and I met at our day job, right? And, he was seeing, pictures that I had drawn and like handed off to like other coworkers that, they like tacked up in their cubicles or whatever. And he started asking around like, hey, there's an artist here, somebody's trying that. And meanwhile, I was hearing at the same time from like similar people, like, hey, there's this guy, Matt, you should, talk to this dude. He's written comics. He's been published. You guys probably have a lot in common. And then like, it was like serendipitous that at the company, Christmas party, we met up and we just started talking. My plan was to always try to draw comics, right? I had a family, comics don't put a roof over your kids' heads necessarily at the beginning. So, or ever. I parked that for a good few years. And, Matt presented me with an opportunity to do a pinup in an anthology that he was working on called Kayfabe Volume 3. It was a wrestling anthology, had some awesome creators in it. And I got onto that. I drew a pinup. It was included in the book. And the bug bit really bad, dude. So it was all about from there, like, okay, I could do this. I could make it work. And, my kids are older, so it became two things, right? Like drawing because I can and because I can get into stuff now. And I proved to myself that I'm capable of doing that, but also to prove to my kids, like, if you have a dream, it's okay to walk away from it for a little while if you have to, but you got to go back to it. You have to be true to yourself. So that's been my two big goals throughout all of this. It's been very amazing. Very amazing. That's
pretty awesome, bro. And you're totally right about those dreams. They just don't leave you alone, right? Like they just gnaw at you. They're like, you got to come back. You got to come back. You said you've always drawn. So what were some of your influences growing up? Like who were some of your heroes, your artistic heroes growing up?
It's pretty wide, man. My grandparents were awesome grandparents. They had a hobby shop when I was in middle school. So like, and this was in the early 90s. So, you're talking the dawn of Image Comics, Spider-Man and X-Men are hot. Really like seeing McFarlane's art, Jim Lee's art, Silvestri is next to me. And, seeing that and like, you can kind of open up my eyes. Like I can draw this. It's awesome. My grandparents used to, let me hang around a little bit and, I would just grab the comics and kind of flip through them. And, that spurred a very unhealthy, habit of, collecting, but it's, I pulled my influences from all over the place, just all over the place.
Yeah. No, I like. These pages that you have up on the Kickstarter. For those who are watching, right now we're speaking to Pete Collins, who's the artist, right, on Bardic Versus. It's a Kickstarter campaign that's live right now on Kickstarter. They have 26 days to go. They have 93 backers. They're almost at their goal, which is excellent, man. I'm very happy for you guys that you guys have done so well in the last. Is it a 30-day campaign?
33. We started it on a Wednesday because it's a new comic day, right? We have to start it on a Wednesday.
Nice. Good thinking.
Climate, notwithstanding, the hope is that we're going to New York Comic Con. We're going to do kind of like a street team kind of thing, handing out like last minute, things to try to push people toward the Kickstarter. So we're ending at the last day of New York Comic Con, which is the 11th. Yeah. So it's 30.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, dude. That is the last. That's Monday, right? The 11th is the last. Last day of that campaign. We have Matt back. Matt, can you hear us?
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Excellent. Yeah, much better.
Sorry about that. My phone just was like, nope, not today.
So okay. So we couldn't hear what you were saying. So tell us about yourself. How you got into this whole thing? Pete told us you guys met up at work. You guys went out on a date on Christmas, and here you are. So we know that. Don't tell us that again. But tell us how did it all work out? Tell us what happened.
Yeah, man. So I've been doing comics on and off for about 12 years now. I started in 2009. I self-published just a one-shot 22-page comic, sort of used that as my resume. I ended up sending it to, so at the time, I want to say this was like 2012, maybe. Take-Two Interactive, who's like a huge video game publisher. They published Grand Theft Auto, BioShock, the NBA 2K games, WWE, etc. They were starting a comic company, and they were looking for editors. So I was like, oh, I could do this. I basically self-published my own book. Like, I can edit a book. I FedExed them a copy of my book with like a cover letter and my resume, and was like, hey, I could do this. And it's funny, they reached out, like, I didn't think anything of it. I was like, whatever, they'll get back to me whenever. They emailed me and they're like, hey, we liked your writing sample. Like, do you want to write for us?
Oh, cool.
So I was writing for them on and off for a little bit. Like, nothing they were doing was sticking. And then eventually they had figured out that Night of the Living Dead was in the public domain. So they started a series of books that all took place during the Night of the Living Dead. And they brought me on to write one about a bunch of kids working the overnight shift at a grocery store during the Night of the Living Dead. Nice. So I wrote 5 issues of that. The book's called Dedication. The publisher is called Double Take Comics, which is kind of like a takeoff of Take-Two. And we were working on like a continuation of the series, and then they shut the publisher down.
Oh, shit.
So after that, I was kind of doing little things here and there. I was doing like digital only comics, like 1-page comics with a group called the Comic Gym. And then I started doing like anthologies. As Pete mentioned, I'm sure we did an anthology together called Kayfabe Volume 3. I did Volume 2 before that. I did this book called All-Star Foobar. And then I recently did this book called Deadbeats from A Wave Blue World. And then, yeah, we when after Pete and I got together, we started, workshopping bardic verses, and here we are.
Yeah, no, I was just saying how you guys are doing so well on the Kickstarter right now. I'm very happy for you guys, because I know that is a tough grind, man.
Dude, let me tell you something. You have to eat, sleep, and breathe the Kickstarter. Like, I look at it I have the app on my phone. I have it up on my computer. I'm looking like to see, because it doesn't tell, like, I don't get notified if somebody pledges. I have to actually go into the app and look.
Damn.
So yeah, I have to look. I look every 5 minutes. Oh, did we get like another pledge? Who do I need to reach out to? Yeah. It's constantly on Twitter. It's just, it's a lot.
We were talking about that just before you guys came on, how you have to do so much work even before it comes on, and it's kind of good that it works out with you guys. Like when you're tag teaming, when you got 2 guys who, you bring in 2 worlds, I guess, that support you guys and do what you got. Do you find that you had to like call up some buddies and be like, hey guys, I got this Kickstarter, it's happening, get there and pledge? Or how did you guys manage all of the I guess the promotion of the Kickstarter? I'll start with you, Pete. How was it for you? Like, what did you do?
So Matt is definitely doing the heavy lifting with a lot of that, right? So I did all the math stuff at the beginning, right? Because crunching those numbers, making sure like your theoretical math makes theoretical sense. So that was kind of my big chunk here. Not fun. My calculator app crashed on me like 9 times during it. It was just over. Excel looked very tired. It's Doom. But no, like just from my perspective, I try to post where I can. I don't have the same kind of reach that Matt has in the same circles, right? But for me, it was like a lot of, if I go to Petco to grab something for my dog, like, and I see that, this is an actual case. I saw that the lady that was working there had a tattoo on her arm, and it was very Dungeons and Dragons like. And I was like, oh, you like Dungeons and Dragons? And she's like, yeah, I love it. I've been playing for years. I'm like, hey, you might want to check this out. I've just been word of mouth in it like crazy. I come off like probably a very big psycho at most box stores.
But, what about you, Matt? What's been your world like?
Man, it's been like, we've been talking about this since we started it, which again was like before COVID. So we were just been like getting in people's faces, like, hey, like, look, check out this thing we're working on. We're going to launch it eventually. I mean, it was good that we didn't really have like a firm timeline until we started reaching the end. But yeah, I mean, it was like group chats. I was dropping the link like, hey, you guys got to support this, like sign up to be notified when it goes live. We have a really good group chat of a bunch of creators, artists, writers, letterers, and they're super supportive. Like we'll drop like a Twitter link in the chat and go, hey, like, can you guys engage with this so that it like beats the algorithm, right? So like the more likes it gets, the more retweets it gets, like the better visibility it has. So they'll go and like everybody's happy to like jump on it and retweet it and stuff, and all of them like support the Kickstarter as well. So it really is like it's a combination of friends, family, and then just hammering the socials like crazy.
It is incredible. Well, you guys are doing great.
Yeah, thanks. Fingers crossed.
I know. Yeah, you got 26 days, so you're not out of the woods yet. But you guys are definitely going in the right direction. I hate the lulls in the middle, bro. Like when there's no play, just like 2-3 days go by, you're like, yo, what happened? Like,
yeah, we felt that last weekend. I thought like where like we didn't get none, but it slowed down because like we had only launched a few days prior, so it was like fast upward momentum. And then it's the weekend, it's 9/11. It's a nice weekend for outdoor stuff, and it just down like like that's to be
absolutely.
So what's your relationship with Jeff?
So Jeff is like we kind of he's a friend of a friend basically, and we had heard that he was good at like booking podcasts and doing press releases, and like I really honestly like didn't want to do any of that stuff because we were so busy. Like Pete and I were brainstorming this Kickstarter like literally up until the minute we launched it. We were just making sure that our I's were crossed and our T's were dotted. It was just out of control so I was just like, listen, if there's one thing we could take off our plate, it's like booking podcasts and sending out press releases and dropping into like groups on Facebook and putting links out and stuff like that. So I was like, cool. Like, he got a recommendation from a very good friend of mine. So I was like, yeah, let's bring him on.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think part of that reaching out to these podcasts is it's a work in itself, right? Just trying to get on the shows themselves. So we're happy that you guys are on. But I had a question for Pete as far as the artwork goes. It's an 80-page novella. You guys, you have it right there on the Kickstarter. How long does it take you to draw a page? And do you have any former training in sequential art and that kind of stuff, or is it kind of like, yo, man, I just like drawing comics and boom, I'm in it?
Dude, that's a great question. I do not have any training in drawing sequential art. It's something I picked up on my own. A lot of trial and error, I'd say. Especially the way that we draw the book, or the way that the book's drawn is every time Martin, that's our bard in the story here, every time he sings a song or tells a story, it's done in a different art style. So there are sections of the book where I'm trying to harness my inner Frank Miller or Bill Watterson or, just so many different people. And it's like, on top of like fine tuning my ability to draw sequential art, it was also, fine tuning my own art style. Like we actually had to go back and I redid the first 3 pages because by the time I got, 60-ish pages through, I had evolved my style a little bit from drawing all these other people's, kind of styles. So it was a very interesting experience. But yeah, no formal training at all, man. No.
Excellent, dude. And I do see the different styles that you're drawing in here. So that's impressive, bro. Very good job. Very, very good job. Yes. Oh, that's awesome. So tell us, Matt, tell us what the story's about. Tell us what the Bardic verses are about.
Yeah, so it's about a bard basically trying to deal with the fact that he comes from a long line of warrior characters. All of his family members were all of his the patriarchy of his family were all famous warriors, and he's not that. He's a musician, he's a storyteller. So he kind of has to deal with that. He has to live in a world where like these warrior characters are like revered, right? Like they're like, almost worshipped, and people looked down on him for making that choice to become a musician, including what he thinks was his father looking down on him as well. So basically the way the story goes is we start in a tavern and he's playing like a set list, right? So he's playing a bunch of songs, he's telling a bunch of different stories, and all those stories are, like, as Pete said, like they're drawn in different art styles, like basically to represent different storytelling or different styles of music. And yeah, we follow him on a couple of different adventures where again, like, he's kind of the tertiary character. He's kind of the NPC of the group. Everyone else is doing the fighting and stuff, and he has to, solve problems in a different way. But then he kind of, somewhere in the middle, he evolves a little bit and comes into his own. And then he ends his set list at the bar, and you basically figure out why he's at that bar specifically. There's a specific reason. So we end, he wraps up his set list, we find out why he's at the bar, and then we kind of wrap up the book from there.
So do you write all the songs?
Yeah, so they're not, we call them songs, they're all stories. There is, right. So not really a spoiler, but there is a musical number in the book. So one of the stories is illustrated in Disney style. So of course, like a Disney movie, they break out into song. Sure. The most challenging thing I've ever written, I would say.
Sounds like Sing It. I want to hear it.
He said Disney. I'm thinking about Gaston.
Just things like, just picture a bunch of elves, like, and they're like about to serve him like a magic mushroom, and then things just go poorly from there.
I heard about those mushrooms.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh shoot! Nice. So Pete, what was it about the story that said, you know what, I want to draw that? It sounds very it sounds difficult. I mean, as far as like, because you have to go into different styles. So what was it about it that kind of like roped you in?
So the process that Matt and I have is very collaborative, right? Like, we're messaging each other all day for the most part. Like, whether it's like, oh my, did you watch What If? Or hey, I had an idea. Like, there's tons of stuff that we're just messaging back and forth. And the inception of this, was essentially just writing, like, Matt was going to write a fantasy book, I was going to draw it, and then it kind of evolved, I think, just through us talking, right? Like, it became a matter of like, let's do different styles. Okay, let's make this character this way. Like, it's our hands are both mutually in everything, So it's the appeal to it though is definitely there. As an artist, I'm always interested in pushing myself. Sometimes I'm not always happy with the results, but in this case, I am. So it's, it was interesting to say, okay, I'm going to draw a black and white, noir comic that's set in a fantasy, in a fantasy world that's, pays homage to, Sin City. All right. That is a challenge right there. It's challenge accepted. That sounds awesome. I also kind of shifted the way that I do things. Like, I've been drawing digitally, or on a tablet rather, I should say, for a few years now. But I've been a traditional artist my entire life up to that. So it's through working through this, like, I had to learn that, right? It's not the same at all. So it's just been one awesome experience between the collaborating, kind of world building with Matt, and learning my craft over in a different way.
Nice.
Go ahead, Sam.
No, Matt, I heard a lot of the artists that influenced Pete. So from a writing perspective, the story that you wrote is very unique. So what are some of your influences, and who are some of the writers out there that influenced you growing up?
Yeah, so I mean, right off the bat, like Pete had said, where there's one story that's heavily influenced by Frank Miller. There's a lot of like narration, like how Frank does. So he definitely inspired me there. But generally, I mean, I was totally inspired by Brian Michael Bendis. I say this all the time. Ultimate Spider-Man, like, really kind of opened my eyes to like how characters like should sound. Like those characters all sounded like kids I went to school with. They all sounded like legit, like real people, you know, and that's not really normal for comics. Brian K. Vaughan is another one. Like he's really good at writing characters. You know, Why the Last Man was like a huge book for me growing up. But yeah, I mean, those two I would say are my biggest inspirations. Jeff Johns, he did a really good run of Teen Titans that I enjoyed. He's another one that's like really good at giving characters unique voices. And I think we do that in Bardic Versus pretty well. There's this one character, Gary the Goblin, this little yellow goblin that we like. It started out like he was just going to be like a one and done character, but like we really like him, and we're like we bring him back later on in the book. Spoiler, and then we're probably going to use him a lot if we do another volume for sure.
Nice.
That's awesome, bro. Yeah, no, actually, Why the Last Man, I think, is getting a TV show.
Yeah, it's on now. It's pretty good. I watched
now,
the first 2 episodes. Yeah, it's very good.
That's awesome. So the reward tiers, there's 7 reward tiers. Simple. I love the way that you guys kept it really simple. Boom, 7. That's it. And then here you go. One of them, which caught my eye, was obviously the $20 pledge, which is a no-brainer. I mean, if you don't, $20, that's easy. 80 pages, you get 66 pages of story and 14 pages of the process behind the scenes, which I love the behind the scenes stuff. So that is where I'm going. That's actually where I went. So you're at 94. But also, you have this $60 tier, the Shopkeeper's Delight. Tell us about the Shopkeeper's Delight for those retailers out there that may be watching the show. Tell us a little bit about that tier, because I think that's a very important tier for independents to get into these stores. And either one. I'm sorry. I didn't even say
yeah, no problem. Like, I like to keep it. I like to go. If I just talked, I like to pass it to Pete.
So go ahead.
You want me to? Cool. So it's 5 physical copies at cost plus shipping. We're not making anything off of that at all. And it's it comes with all the bells and whistles that the standard physical copy does anyway. We wanted to make it an experience for the physical copy, right? So each copy is going to come. It's going to be hard. It's going to have a hard back to it, right? Like we're going to shrink wrap the whole thing together just to give it added protection in the mailer. It's going to have a bookmark, 2 stickers, and a signed book plate. It's going to be signed by myself, Matt, and our letterist, Matt Krotzer, who is, he's fantastic with fonts. Love the guy. And yeah, good stuff. So that's our retailer package.
That's awesome. I mean, I think that's the way to go, to be able to get into these stores and have some of these retailers. We were fortunate enough when we did our Kickstarter with Forbidden, which is Sam's book there. We were able to get a couple of stores to kind of pledge to those tiers. One of them I think was in Cali, right, Sam?
Yeah.
So to be able to get it outside of and I know it's in the U.S. only, which is very important to also know, but it's very important to get it out there, and I think that's a very smart way to do that. Especially. You're getting 5 copies at cost. That's perfect. They can do whatever they want with it at the store at that point, sell it at whatever price point it is. But there are also other tiers. I know you have the physical versus and traditional art tier. And you got a digital portrait tier. So tell us a little bit about those tiers. And I guess we'll go back and forth. So Matt, what do you got on those?
I mean, I'm the worst person to ask about this. I'm the we call me. I'm the word guy. Pete's the art guy. But basically, they're standard art tiers. I mean, but it's a little different, right? It's geared more towards the tabletop RPG player. Pete will draw like your character. So if you play Shadowrun, you play Pathfinder. If you play D&D, like he'll draw your character. One of them will be just a digital, like a high res digital copy. But then the higher tier is it's a high-res digital copy, but it's printed out onto like an 11 by 17 canvas. So Pete has worked with this company that produces these canvases. They come out really great. And yeah, he would draw your character. We would get it printed on this canvas and send you a canvas of your RPG character.
That's dope, man.
Yeah.
That 11 by 17 canvas print of custom tabletop gaming character drawn by Pete. That's thinking outside the box too, man. And you know what? It's funny because like you figured this is what the story's geared towards that that fan base. So that's perfect that you would that you would do something like that. I'm happy that you guys are doing so well on this thing. I really believe you guys are going to kill this thing. I think 26 days, you guys are going to knock it out of the park. What's going to happen after the campaign? Do you have any plans for maybe future stories in this universe? I'll start with you, Pete. Do you plan on doing something more? And then do you have your own stuff that you want to put out now that the bug has bitten? I know I'm sure you have some stuff that you may want to also put out.
Yeah, that's all good questions, man. So we have talked about what a second volume of this would look like. I think a lot of that depends on how well it's received, how well it does. But there is that possibility. I maybe have drawn a couple of designs just in case. The beautiful thing here, Matt and myself, we're not taking page rates for this project at all. We're not pocketing any funds from this. Anything that's residual after we meet our goal and all of our our needs are met to produce the book. Anything after that is essentially going directly into potentially volume 2. That way, when we get to this point in that project, we have a cushion. It's less of an impact. It keeps the goal again humble. That's our plan. So any profit is just going to get spun right back around into maybe a Bardic versus 2.
There you go. And anything that you may be working on outside of that? I
am right now my focus is 100% on this, and once this is over, probably 90% of my focus will potentially be on volume 2. I do have a couple things that I want to do. Nothing too serious. I'd love to jump in on some project and do a pinup, some project and do a couple of page story here or there, just to get out there a little bit more. But I am content being Matt's muse.
Fair enough. What about you, Matt? What do you have going on?
So yeah, I mean, like Pete said, potentially a volume 2, provided this one does well. We would just want this to fund. We're not asking for anything crazy. But on top of that, I mean, I have a couple irons in the fire right now. Some stuff I really can't talk about. But I have another anthology thing that I'm a part of, and then that I think that should be launching eventually on Kickstarter. I know my part in it is done. And then I'm working on a work for hire thing that I definitely can't talk about yet because it hasn't even been announced anywhere, but spoiler. That's a thing that's going to happen. It's probably not going to happen until like next year. And then, so Bardic Versus is sort of a test run for me for Kickstarter to see like, what to do, what not to do, and how to put that stuff, like put the campaign together, what we need to charge for X, Y, and Z. I do have a book that I've kind of been sitting on that I want to bring to Kickstarter. It's a creator-owned book. It's very personal to me. It's inspired by my sister who passed away from brain cancer a couple of years ago. So yeah, I mean, if this does well, fingers crossed, I'll probably bring that. That'll be my next Kickstarter. Is that book. It's gonna be a little bit more expensive because I'm gonna have to pay for art and lettering and printing and all that stuff. So fingers crossed everything goes well. I got a couple of things happening.
Very, very expensive. Definitely.
Yeah.
But where can they find you guys outside of the Kickstarter, your social networks and all that other stuff? I'll start with you, Matt. Where can they find you?
Yeah, so I'm everywhere at Mattman Begins. So like Batman Begins, but my first name, Matt. Nice. Everywhere, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Friendster, MySpace, wherever there's a social network, I'm on it, and that's my username.
Nice. Sam loves that. Simple, right, Sam?
Keep it simple.
Yeah,
what about you, Pete? Pete's like, I got 5 different names that you are going to have to find. Now, what do you got, Pete?
So I'm literally everywhere. I'm behind you down the hall. I'm your Uber driver. You can find me Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. PAC Illustration.
Okay. Fair enough. Easy. Guys, thank you so much. And listen, you guys have an open invitation to come on whenever you want, whenever your projects are out or whatever you're doing. Let us know, hit us up. You know where to find us, catch the craze. You'll find it. So just thank you so much for coming on. And everybody watching, make sure you go to Kickstarter right now and pledge to the Bardic Versus. We are at 94 backers now, 26 days to go. And the goal is 5,000. The last day is October 11th. Thank you so much, guys, for coming on. We really appreciate you.
It's awesome.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate it.
You got it, brother.
Definitely.
All right. That's it.
And muted.
Yep. And so now we are. All right. So that was Matt. Oh, hold on. And Pete. And
Yes, sir. Excellent. So so make sure you guys support that book. It looks fun, man. It looks like a very, very fun novella. I like that they're calling it a novella, and it's got some behind the scenes stuff. So make sure you guys pledge to it. They got me. I'm in there. So make sure you guys follow suit and support our indie friends. Make sure that you help them make their goal.
Let's grow together. Let's like birds of a feather. So with that, we have to get ready for another show, a pre-recorded show. And thank you guys for being on Catch the Craze, Matt and Pete. And we wish you much success. I'm Sam the Crazy Man Vera.
George the Jimmy.
And we are.
It's just easy. It's not.
Crazy. Acquiesce.
No, it's talking about my friend Acquiesce. Say my name, right? This is what you were thinking? Oh, my. He described me. He said, I'm the.
What? Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze. To Catch the Craze. You are listening to Catch the Craze on Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze.